Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of MedTech Minis. Today, I'm here with Emmanuel, who is the Global Business Development Manager for CoNEX. And CoNEX has this great product called PreSAGE. So let's just dive right in. Emmanuel, I'd love to know a little bit about the inspiration behind your product. So what can you tell us about it? And feel free to tell us about yourself at the same time.
Yeah, hey Susie, thanks for having me today. So I'm very excited to share with you a little about CoNEX and how it started. So my aunt actually started the company back in 2013. And what happened is her mom, which is my grandmother, fell at home and nobody knew for 2 to 3 hours. And unfortunately, she was suffering alone, and she actually was only discovered because my uncle walked in and found her on the floor, unconscious. So that's when we sent her to the hospital, and we found that she had a hairline fracture.
Oh,
And this was really the inspiration, right? Like my grandma who fell, we found that an elderly living alone, right? This is something that is a huge problem in not just in Singapore but all over the world. And funny enough, we at the same time she met the chief nurse at Tan Tock Seng Hospital, which is the largest geriatric hospital in Singapore, who was also struggling with the major problem of inpatient falls. And in the US alone, there are more than 1 million patient falls every single year. And that's actually costing the market more than $17 billion, because every
wow.
single fall, it costs like the patient and their loved ones more than $62,000 on average because of extended hospitalization stay and even like surgeries. So yeah, do you have any experience personally, if I may ask?
Yeah. And I love that you asked that question because, before my mom passed, she actually fell in the shower in her bathroom and was
Oh,
there all day. And I mean, it was only because they had a caregiver going over to her house that day that they found her. She could have sat there for a couple of days. I live in a whole other state. My sister was out of town at the time. So it is really a huge problem for both folks that are, getting their care at home and maybe they're on the older side, but they need a little bit of extra assistance. And it's a huge problem in hospitals. I've been in healthcare for 20 years and I've seen it repeatedly with not a lot of good solutions. So I was really excited when I found out that, you guys have this product on the market in other countries and that you're coming to the US. So tell us a little bit about the product, and then we can talk a little bit about your market entry into the US.
yeah, I'm sorry to hear that as well. That's really a major problem that we're trying to solve. So in the hospitals, what we found is that these high fall risk patients need constant attention. And unfortunately, there's always a shortage in terms of manpower, staff, right? Nurses are always have their hands full. And that's where we found that we needed to give them a solution that's contactless, and it helps them save time and alerts them and kind of monitors for them to let them know that these patients are trying to leave the bed. So that is what PreSAGE is all about. But what we found is at the same time, we need to protect patient privacy, right? And
Yeah.
that's why we use a thermal camera. So that's what PreSAGE is. It's a device just installed in the ceiling and behind the bed using thermal imaging and artificial intelligence to understand when a patient is trying to leave the bed, and that would actually trigger an alarm to send to the nurses so they can intervene before they even leave the bed, preventing on any types of falls. So on average, it gives the nurses about 15 seconds of lead time based on a 1-year operational study. And I'm very happy to say that for inpatient falls, since we installed in Tan Tock Seng Hospital and scaled very quickly, we managed to reduce falls by over 40%.
That's amazing. And I mean, just to catch them, just to have those few extra seconds. And, I've seen your technology in action. And I think one of the cool things about it is even though you're using cameras, the thermal imaging really protects the privacy of the patient. And I think that's one reason why some hospitals have been resistant to having the cameras in these rooms before. And I think it could really make a huge difference for both patients at home and in the hospitals. So I want to get you on market in the US. That's my goal. Tell us a little bit about your market entry into the US. I know you're working toward that now, but what would you like us to know?
Yeah, so we managed to get our FDA 510(k) exempt status. We are not classified as a medical device, so just a nursing productivity tool. and that would help in terms of the regulatory portions. We are very excited to kickstart, and if we could, we meet any hospitals that are interested in adopting or trying new fall prevention technologies. We'd be happy to fly over, actually start up. Before that, actually, let me correct myself. We're actually gonna incorporate a company over in the US, and that way, with any interest that come along from hospitals, we can set up and support the trials and hopefully the scales as well.
So let me ask you another question before we wrap up. How are you guys differentiating yourself in the market from some of your competitors?
Yeah, great question, Susie. So the main kind of differentiator at PreSAGE is that it is a evidence-based solution. And what that means is that for the first time ever, staff and healthcare staff are able to understand when, why, and how falls actually occur in the ward environment. And this is very important in terms of being able to personalize the point of care, and that actually dramatically decreases falls as well. So, for example, one of the studies that we had is that this high fall risk patient was constantly trying to move the curtains by herself, and she was leaning over the bed frame, and eventually she fell. So this is one of the behaviors that when nurses get it insight to, they'll be able to prevent future falls. So this is how we're differentiating ourselves in the market. We're giving the healthcare staff the opportunity to understand and prevent future falls with an evidence-based solution.
That is huge. I mean, and that story tells me so much because that's one thing I probably wouldn't have thought about a lot. In my head, I'm thinking, oh, they have to go to the bathroom. They don't want to wait for the nurse. But I'm sure there's many, many reasons why these falls occur. And the more insight you can give to people, I think that makes for a really great value prop, especially in the US and all markets. So with that, how do people get in touch with you?
Yeah. So the best way to get in touch with me is to actually reach out via the QR code over this side. And to scan it, you should have my contact details. And if not, you can reach out to me at immanuel@conexhc.com.